Salam, welcome to this video. So the solution is an approval workflow that locks an item while it is being approved and will also place the item in an editable state if it was rejected. And then it will also keep the item locked if it has been approved, so the user will be able to edit it after it has been approved. And also it will hide and show columns that are not to be seen when the item is being created, so in a new form basically. And the context for this example is a leave request, and we are using two user accounts. AS is the admin user while U is the normal user. Okay, let's get to it. So firstly we're going to look at the list itself, the list setup. So in this list we have a leave details column, an approval status column, contact when on leave column, submit column, and a workflow running column. Okay, and let's see which of these fields are visible in the new form. So if we create a new item, these fields are visible. Let's just check on edit columns. So leave details is always visible, contact is always visible, submit is always visible, workflow is running is hidden, title is hidden, and approval status conditionally visible. So the condition is that if the workflow running column is equal to yes, then show it, otherwise hide it. Right, so basically what this means is if the workflow is running, and then show the approval status column. If the workflow is not running, don't show the approval status column in the form. Right, so okay, that is the columns. Another thing, in order to get the solution to work, is to have a folder here, a submitted folder, or you can call it a read only folder, whatever you wish. So basically the only difference over here is the permissions for this folder. So except for admins, all users over here will have read-only access. So you'll see here the user that we're testing with as user aspiring as read-only access. So basically what happens is over here, when the user creates an item, the workflow move the item into the read-only folder where admins have access, but normal users do not have access. Excuse me. So let's quickly do, I think we can do an example of how all of this works. So another thing is I've created a view called all items no folders. So this is the default view for leave requesters. Okay, so they won't actually be seeing folders, as that doesn't affect or shouldn't affect what they see, but it impacts the visibility, or the permissions on the leave request. So I'm gonna go here to the aspiring user account. We're gonna request leave. We'll add the leave details, birthday, leave. I'll intentionally leave that out and we'll click on submit. The purpose of this is if you click on no over here, this will leave this item in a draft state. So if you have a form that has many fields and the user does not complete all the fields, they have to run off to a meeting, you can leave this as a no and they click on save. It will save the item. Excuse me, but that won't send it for approval. So but in this example we will send it for approval. What then happens is you'll see if I right click on here, I'm able to edit this item, right? But in a few moments the edit option should disappear because the item will then be in a read-only state. Still not. Let me head over to the admin side and old items view. Okay, so here we can see pending birthday leave. Submit is equal to yes. Workflow running is still no. Okay, so the workflow has not kicked off yet. Okay, so the workflow has now been triggered, and we can see now that as the requester, I can no longer edit this item. Approval status is pending. On the admin side, the item has been moved to this folder. And I click in there. I'll see the birthday leave workflow is running. Okay. So me as the approver should have received an email to approve. Okay. And let's say I'm gonna reject it. Okay. And the reason I'm gonna reject is because contact missing. Right? I spelled that wrong. Okay. So what should happen now is I should receive an email as the requester. Okay, so we can see now that the item has been rejected, and I can now edit the item. So now let's edit the item. And add a contact number, and then submit it again. We can now see that the item is in a read-only state only. Right, let's go back to the admin user. They should receive an email. Okay, so here's a approval request this time around. We'll approve it. Enjoy your birthday. Submit. And that's it. And now the leave request has been approved. On the requester side, the item should stay in the read-only state, but the approval status will change. So let's just give that a moment. And there we can see the approval status is now changed to approved. Next week we'll take a look at the actual workflow that achieves all of this. Okay, so this is the workflow. Maybe I should have spent some time renaming the actions, but I'm sure you will be able to follow. So when an item is created or modified, so in the leave request, when an item is created or modified, that triggers a workflow. But we also have a trigger condition. Okay, we have two trigger conditions. The one is that this workflow should only run when submit is equal to yes, right? So remember, in the new form, over here, if the user leaves this as no and they click on save, the workflow will not run. Okay. Also, another condition is that if the column workflow is running is set to no, then the workflow can run. If it's set to yes, then the workflow shouldn't trigger, because that will create an infinite loop for any updates that's happening in the during the workflow. Okay, so if something is updated in one of the other steps, then the workflow will run again, so it will create an infinite loop. So these two trigger conditions are very important. Okay. Okay, then in this step we update, or in this action we're updating the item, so that basically here we're setting the workflow running column to yes, right? So that is very important. The previous step we looked at the trigger conditions, and this is where that the workflow running trigger condition receives its value from. Okay. Next we are gonna move the item, and there's a bunch of steps which are used to achieve that. First one is we get the item by doing HTTP request, right? You can have a look at this. I'm not going to go through all of this. Next step. Oh, sorry, in this step we're getting the actual item that we're going to remove. So this is the ID of the item that we want to remove. Okay. And then initializing a variable called the new URL, which is where we want to move the item to. So this URL contains the destination folder, which is the read-only folder. So if I hover over here, this value is an expression, and you can see the expression over there. Okay, and here we're actually moving the item. So using the post method, we're moving the item. This is a URI over here. We're using the D file reference, and this is the new URL. Okay, so after this step, the item now sits in the submitted folder, which is the read-only folder. Here we're starting the approval process. Okay, you can put in whatever details you want over here in terms of the approval details, as well as the item link exists over there. Is there anything else in here? Yeah, that's my settings. And then these two conditions over here. If the outcome is equal to reject, and then we are moving the item back to the parent folder, right? So that it's no longer in a read-only state for the requester. So here we're moving the item from the old URL, which is the new URL over here, but then we're moving it to the default reference, which is the parent folder URL, okay, with the root folder URL. And this is done so that the user can then make any updates to the request, which will satisfy the approver and hopefully have the approver approve it. Okay, and then we're updating the item so that we reset the submit value to no, and also the workflow is running status to no. Okay, and the approval status is set to the outcome from this approval request over here. If the outcome is equal to approve, and then basically we set the workflow is running value to no, and that's it. You can add any other actions in here as well. For example, send an email to the requester or something. Yeah, but that's it. Thank you very much. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions.